Don't lick them. Envelopes. They're super important. I kind of wanted to go across the envelopes here on the Pro 3. They're pretty handy in my opinion. And there's kind of been this sound I've been wanting to create in my head. It's more of a chord pad sound that kind of has this dip at the beginning and then kind of opens back up, mainly just with some filter manipulation. This shouldn't take long. I'm gonna try and keep this short and sweet. But yeah, let's go ahead and kind of jump into this. Man, I love this Pro 3. Thank you everybody who told me about the octave down plus latch button to just initialize the patch. Sweet. So super simple, really basic. The oscillator core, I want it to be a little unique. Of course, I just have the two. I just turned all three oscillators up. I have two of the analog here. And I want it to be in paraphonic mode because I kind of really enjoy using the awesome. I really enjoy using the wavetable oscillator in here with the paraphonic mode because you only get 3 notes. So turning that up, we'll find a new shape. Whoa, easy there. Cool, that'll work. So if I go into paraphonic mode, now it's going to cycle through those voices. Wavetable, 1, 2. What's cool, if you play a chord, depending on how you play it, it's always going to be a little different. And I wonder if you sent MIDI to this, if it would receive those MIDI notes exactly the same every time. Throw in a 4th note. Okay, pretty whack. So what I wanted to do or achieve is a ba-wham. Okay, so on the Pro 3 we actually have 4 envelopes. We have a filter envelope, this one right here, the amp envelope, and the auxiliary envelopes. There's 2 of them. And if you're familiar with envelopes, look at the time marker down below, jump ahead a little bit. This part's probably going to be pretty boring to you. But if you're not familiar with envelopes, what these are is 4 stages of a value going to something. And this value for the filter is going to the filter. The one for the amp is going to the amplifier. And what that means, the easiest way to think about an amp is kind of like the volume, how much sound gets out or pushed out of the synth from the audio outputs. So for example, high attack kind of slowly comes in. Fast attack, very fast. After attack, you have decay. And what decay is going to do is tell the synth how fast after I've done my attack do I fall down to our sustain level. So sustain is all the way up. So our decay has no effect. But if I turn our sustain down, you can hear there's this like boom, and it sustains itself at a specific note. And all the sustain is doing is saying, when I'm holding down the note, what volume is it going to stay at? Is it going to be this loud? Is it going to be this quiet? Maybe in the middle? So after attack, how quickly does it get down to that level? Maybe really long. So this is kind of like, you can think of shaping a piano. Pianos have no sustain. They will not hold their note forever. But if you have a long decay, it kind of falls away like a piano. Anyway, then release is basically how quickly does it close after I've let go of the key. Oh, this is awful. Okay, so we kind of understand envelopes. Now on to the rest of the sound. So I want to go ahead and say, I want my filter to kind of land here. Turning up this here is just the amount of this specific envelope being sent to the filter. And you can see that shape is represented right there. But as I move this around, we can change it around. So that's getting close to that initial sound that I wanted. Maybe a little lower. Actually, I'll just turn the filter down and the resonance up a little bit. You hear that? We'll turn paraphonic off for now. Right? You get it? So how do we get this to go bon wah, bon wah? We need to set another envelope. One thing that's great about the Pro 3 is the modulation. If I just hold down auxiliary envelope, move this, bam, it's already set. And the same thing we have here, attack, decay, sustain, release, as well as the amount. So if I say attack, we can have it pretty much flat. If I turn the sustain up, and I turn this up, it's now opening up the filter. So watch, if I turn the attack up, but this is one way to do this. And if your synthesizer doesn't have at least two envelopes, you should get another synth. I mean, you have to have one for the amp and you have to have one for the filter. Most synths that are really fun and easy to program have at least 3. This one has 4, so it's awesome. You can use this to do a bunch of different things. For example, this wavetable, I want to move that after we get done with this part. So you could pretty much do this with any synth, but one thing that's great about the Pro 3, which I love having access to, is if I go into auxiliary 1 envelope amount, we have a delay. And this is how delayed is this cycle, these 4 cycles, going to happen after I press the key. So watch, if I turn attack all the way down, nothing really happens, but check out what happens when I do this. You hear it? It almost sounds like it's double triggering. Let's turn it up even more. Easy. So simple. So then I can, and then add a little bit of attack to that. It's crazy, you can make this really, really long. But I want it around 85. So let's see what this sounds like with paraphonic mode. Ah, right. So with paraphonic mode, the other thing that I always end up having to do is in miscellaneous is retrigger. So with retrigger off, every time I press a key, if I'm still holding down a note, you can hear the envelope's not getting retriggered because I've already pressed the initial note. But if retrigger is on, it's always going to re-trigger the envelopes to run through their cycle. So retrigger is very important when messing around with envelopes. One of these is too low. There we go. It sounds crazy to me. So it's going a little too high up. I can just turn the sustain down. But remember, even though I'm turning the sustain down, doesn't mean it's not going to hit that filter spot where it was too high for my ears, because the decay stage still has to go all the way up to the top. Basically, attack says from 0 to 100%, and then decay is from 100% down to whatever percentage you might set your sustain to, so maybe 50. So if it's still opening up too high, whoa, that sounded tight. But let's say it was too high. I can just turn the sustain up, which almost gets rid of the decay stage because it's just going up and decaying to nothing. It's going to stay maxed out there. So then I would just turn down the amount of the envelope as a whole, how much of this parameter or this envelope is affecting the filter cutoff. So it still has the same effect of going up, just not as high. So cool, that works. Let me do a little bit more shape mod in here. Imagine that happening. You don't have to imagine it. We can make it happen. If I go over to auxiliary 2, press and hold, just move this. So the way I like to work is I'll turn this up and set my sustain as to where I want that to land. Maybe right there. Turn this up an octave. A little too fast. This down a little bit. So by moving the sustain down and then elongating the decay, it's literally playing through that shape. It's kind of almost making a complex LFO, if you will, minus the release, because the release only happens when you let go of the key. You hear all that? I'm going to turn the sustain of our amplifier up. I'll put it down here. Cool. And then we'll say, even that will shorten up the attack a little bit, bring the sustain up, but then bring it down as a whole. And then I'm going to give it a little bit of a delay. And if I said decay earlier, my bad. I always get those mixed up. Let's say we go over to the state variable, wiggle this around, and again, if I press and hold this and move it to there, it's going to then set that to the state of the filter, but it's also going to erase it from the shape mod. So if I want to do this again, I can say source, wiggle this, envelope 2 is going to where, destination, wiggle that, donezo, and then turn it up. Set these all to 0. When is 2 pulse widthy? Is that a word? So again, our filter is going a little too crazy. Turn down our filter envelope. Go back to auxiliary 1. Turn that down a little bit. What's crazy too is if you flip these on their head, you can actually go negative. So if I turn this up, you hear that little pop, 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 pop. I can do the same for auxiliary 1, negative. Oh, that's cool. What about 1 positive, 1 negative? Yep, there it is. This isn't even what I wanted to make, but this is awesome. That paraphonic mode is so dope because the other notes kind of weirdly get retriggered because they're going through the through the same amplifier, the amp envelope, and all this stuff. Drawn out a little bit. So something's happening here. See what happens when I let go of the keys? They sustain somewhere and then I let it go. And the filter, then it's this. It's going. So if I go back to 2, that's totally the culprit. The release is too fast. I turn the release longer. No. So then where's 1 going? Oh yeah, it's totally 1 because 1's going to the filter as well. So that's just causing the filter to get whipped back down. So then I'll turn this up to soften the release. Amazing. Let's get some super plate in here. So you hear that pop sound? It's cool, but I don't like it on the amplifier, and that's because our attack is just a little too fast. There it is. Oh, you know what? I don't even have this. Oh, I do have it in stereo mode. Okay, cool. Let's go to a new shape. So what's cool is we can switch up the shapes, and then this will still be applied to that wave shape mod amount. I love the names of these wavetables. Who knows? You know, Dave. How pretty is that? You're here, and then you let it go, and then this just floats you to wherever you want to go. This is too pretty. Let's feedback. Ooh. Ooh. Where's the tuning at on that? What about 2 octaves up? Ready? Oh, it's breaking. Am I clipping? Not even clipping. Thank you, David. Oh! Yes. Okay, you know what? I'm going to leave it at that. Hope you found this video helpful. It's good to see you as always. I'm excited to see you in the next one. Have a great day. Hope you're doing okay. And yeah, you already know the drill. Share the love, share the knowledge. Knowledge is power. Peace.